You can see us on YouTube and on Facebook. We're also on redpill.org tonight. So please join us, share this broadcast on your social media platforms, because as you know, unfortunately, the left is trying to, what can I say, silence our voices. They want to get rid of us. But we will soldier on. We will keep going. So again, please feel free to share this on your social media platforms. Spread the word. We're on live every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights, and sometimes in between. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm a bit disappointed in the Republican leadership team. Mitch McConnell has been a complete disappointment. Now, yeah, I mean, he did well by the party when he got the 100 or so federal judges pushed through the Senate and got them on the bench, and we commend him for that. But he was up against a tough election, and we patriots supported him. And now, for him to get on the floor of the Senate and accuse the president of something that is so wrong. Basically, he lied. He's following the left-wing media's narrative that the president incited a riot, insurrection. That is such a lie. Because if you go back to January 6th and you listen to the president's speech and you look at the timetable, and if you now look at the videos that's now being released, you will see that the people that were at the riot, not the riot, were at the people that were at the speech on January 6th, Trump was speaking, were completely different than the people that went to the White House. I must add that the people who went to the White House went peacefully. And there's video showing them being escorted in by the Capitol Hill Police Department, or whoever they call themselves, security. Now, what got these people all riled up, we may never know. But it wasn't the president, Mitch McConnell. And because you, in your leadership position, as well as Liz Cheney, have decided to turn your backs on this president because you see that this is a way to eradicate the party of President Trump, your days are numbered, and we should vote against you, and you should lose your leadership positions. Now, I heard that Liz Cheney was reprimanded or censured by her local party, and rightfully so. We have got to get enough people in the Senate and the House who are true MAGA followers, who are true patriots, like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, Elise Stefanik. We've got to get people like that on the Hill. We need more people who are going to stand up and fight for this country, and not Republicans who are weak, not Republicans like Ben Sass and Mitt Romney, whose sole purpose is just to go against the president. We don't need politicians like them on the Hill. We don't need them. We need to get rid of them. If we ourselves have to run, then we must do it. It is high time that we wake up and be true conservatives and start calling out these jelly-bag swamp dwellers who want to do nothing but sit there on their hands, collect a paycheck, and have the bragging rights of saying, oh, I'm a senator or I'm a representative. You're doing absolutely nothing for the people. This summer, riots on top of riots, the spring and the summer. No one said, oh, they're trying to take down the government. They were burning buildings and state buildings here in New York City, City Hall Park, the pigs on all the walls. Where's the FBI? Why aren't they looking at the cameras trying to arrest those guys? Only to find out yesterday, John Sullivan, a person who's part of Antifa, a BLM, was arrested and then released. What about his jail time? Whereas the other people who are being arrested, they're looking at probably 25 years in jail, 10 years in jail. Hear me clearly. If I were the president, I would pardon them all and say there's nothing to see here. What they did was wrong, but two wrongs don't make a right. We're not going to go ahead and destroy their lives just like we need to destroy the lives of the people who were tearing up things this summer. I'm sorry, I've had it. This has gone too far. And now you want to deprogram us. Deprogram me, a black man? You're saying I'm a white supremacist? This makes absolutely no sense. And if you're tired of hearing this, well, get ready. There are 4 years that you're going to hear this. Because if we don't speak, they will silence us and the truth will never get out there. Because what they're looking at doing is whitewashing, just completely eradicating the president, Donald John Trump, from history. That's not going to happen. And we can't let it happen. So tonight's show, we're going to devote to the accomplishments of Donald John Trump, a true patriot, not a politician, but a man who loves this country, a man that they tried to destroy for 4 freaking years based upon what? Lies. Why? To save Hillary Clinton's butt. And now the president is releasing a lot of this information. He's declassifying it. And we see now that Fiona Hill, a huge swamp rat, a ratress, because I know they will, she's a woman, a ratress, okay? The 2 impeachments at some point should be rendered null and void and vacated because this president does not deserve this. This was all a coup set up by the Democrats and Barack Obama, who has done absolutely nothing for anyone but himself. Shame on you. So without further ado, the accomplishments of Donald John Trump. Joining me is my host, co-host, Small Town Andrew. How's it going, Andrew?
It's going well.
Ray Poetry, how's it going, Ray?
Good, everything's good. Glad to be here as usual.
And Heather Robinson, how's it going, Heather?
Good to see you guys. It's good.
BB Diamond, how's it going?
Doing well, hanging in there. Thank you for having me on.
And Sean, how is it going?
It's going great. I mean, now we're an all-star panel tonight, you know?
Yes, we
Fantastic. Love it.
And someone else has joined us who's never joined before. Her name is Judy. Judy, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
So, guys, what did you think about my opening?
Great opening. Powerful.
Powerful.
I had to let that out. I mean, because like I said, tonight's show is devoted to the accomplishments of our president. But after hearing what Mitch McConnell, what he did on the floor of the Senate, I'm shocked. And there are others who are looking at this as an opportunity to erase the president from history. Shame, shame, shame. Shame, 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 shame.
May I just say that Mitch McConnell shamed himself today, and it was an unforced error. He did not have to do that on the floor of the Senate. They have turned their backs. He and Republicans like Liz Cheney have turned their backs on nearly 80 million Americans. We are the base of the Republican Party. This is a huge political mistake. Mitch McConnell is retiring, but it will still be a negative stain on his legacy that he betrayed us, not just President Trump, but the American people. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Does anyone else care to opine before we go into our tonight's topic?
I think Mitch McConnell is still mad from when President Trump demanded that he give the American people $2,000 instead of the $600 stimulus package. And he never forgave President Trump for that. And I don't think he will, because he probably blames that on the Republicans losing the Senate instead of him just doing what President Trump had asked him to do.
Well, so he has sour grapes. That is pathetic. How old is Mitch McConnell? This is for the life of the party. So you're going to stand up on the floor and say something that is so against the party? You want to destroy the party because your little feelings got hurt? Your feelings need to get hurt. That is the problem with Republicans. They don't know how to fight. And then the Democrats, do you think Chuck Schumer's laughing at him? You think Chuck Schumer's going to say, hey, come here, come into my bosom, and we're going to be bosom buddies? No, he's laughing at you. He's laughing at you.
You'll never appease. There's no appeasement in the Democrat makeup. It doesn't matter what logic. It doesn't matter what anything. They are not ever going to appease a guy like McConnell. You know, it just won't happen.
You know,
I mean, all we really wanted was to follow the Constitution and have a fair election.
Right.
I think all of us would agree that that was really our motivation going into this election, when we knew that COVID would cause hundreds of millions of mail-in ballots across the country. And we knew it. I mean, Pompeo knew it. You know, it was no secret. And all we wanted was a fair election and follow the Constitution. And neither of those things happened.
Right.
We couldn't even look at it. And, you know, people are upset.
Yeah.
We'll continue to be upset.
Right. You know, Ray, you and I, we spoke about this, and I'm going to say this, and then I want you to read your poem, Patriots, and then we'll go into Trump's accomplishments. You know, there is a tape that I've forgotten about of Mitch McConnell speaking the night before they were to certify the election, in which he said, you know, we're going to go in and we're going to make certain this is done right. Our voices will be heard. Now, of course, when everyone heard that, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that tape or not. I'm going to try to find it and pull it up. You know, we automatically assumed that he was going to go in and say, okay, is there any opposition for certifying the votes? If so, speak now. And that happened. And then we had anticipated him saying, okay, Arizona, we're going to send the votes back, these electoral ballots back, and you guys will look at it and then make a decision. We did not expect him to say, oh, we're going to look at new electorates and we're going to say, we're going to give these to the president, making him the president. We didn't expect that. We expect him to function under his constitutional duties. That was it. And all these narratives that are out there with people saying, oh no, they wanted him to, you know, change the election. They wanted him to give it to Donald Trump. He doesn't have the power under the Constitution to do it. But what he did have the power to do was to say, we're going to send this back to Arizona and let Arizona look at this and make a decision. That was it. In order to overturn the election, we would have had to have had other states to do the same thing. That is what we patriots wanted. And I think that had we gotten that, had people say, okay, they followed the Constitution. They looked at it. They say they're going to keep the votes the way they are. That's it. People would have been a little bit more, you know, accepting. But to just cut it off and say, we're not going to do it, and you guys are going to follow what we say is unacceptable. And that is not what the Constitution says. Had this been a Democrat, they would have done it. Because if you look back at 2000 and 2006, they did exactly that. However, they didn't have a senator to stand behind the Democrat representative. But in this case, we did. That's all we were asking for, was a voice to be heard. And that is the reason why Donald Trump was elected in 2016, because he listened. He gave a voice to the voiceless. And that's all we wanted. Ray, are you ready?
I am. If I can just say a couple of words about the poem I wrote called Patriot. I wrote it, understand the time frame, I wrote it 3.5 years ago. And I was having a feeling that it was just starting, that we were under attack for being patriots. And it's continued. I mean, now they're talking about reprogramming us, patriots. So I wrote this poem. It's hard to be a patriot and stand up for your flag, to put your hand upon your heart when others think it's sad. It's hard to be a patriot, to feel that unity, to know that call for freedom to some a travesty. It's hard to be a patriot, to know that love of home, to love that hallowed piece of ground while others throw a stone. The causes will confuse us, so trust what's in your heart. The answer stretches everyone when seams get pulled apart. The meaning of a patriot will stand the test of time. Every human everywhere will struggle to define. So draw your own conclusion, wrangle with the thought. It's time we all address the word for the meaning we have sought. To call yourself a patriot is not a dirty word. To believe it might be otherwise is clearly quite absurd.
Wow, that's powerful and so timely. Sean, what do you say? What are your thoughts,
Yeah,
Sean?
we are
Yeah, well, thank
we're really under attack.
Thank you, Rob and Ray. What a fantastic poem, as always. And it's always good to to look at Ray's poems and reread them, and the diction that Ray has shown. I mean, it's fantastic. Love it always. And thank you, Ray. My
Thank you,
initial
Sean.
thoughts. Thank you, Ray. My initial thoughts on everything is, we have two options that are going to happen within the next, let's say, day, okay, by tomorrow afternoon. The first option is, God forbid, is that Joe Biden is inaugurated as your president, okay? Now, there's some on our party and otherwise that believe that this is a formality and this is going to happen. I'm not going to, say, hey, I agree, I disagree, okay? It's above all of our heads right now, right? But there's some that clearly believe that, like, hey, Biden's won. He's going to be inaugurated. This is over. I don't, if there was fraud or not. This is going to be a Biden victory in the inauguration. Okay, that's what some believe. Now there's option two, which is what I want to gravitate to, which gets us into saying, hey, does Trump have what we call the Trump card? Now, what is the Trump card? Well, we've seen some interesting things this past week in Washington, D.C. There's reports now that there's about 100,000 troops right there in D.C. Now, why on earth would there be hundreds of thousands of troops right there in Washington, D.C.? Do they think, okay, well, they were saying, well, there could be riots. Well, sure, there could be riots, but like that's pretty much anywhere this year. Do they think they're going to be Trump supporters rioting? Well, pretty much not, because we saw what may have happened on the 6th of January, and there really weren't Trump supporters rioting at the Capitol. Those were Antifa dressed as Trump supporters. So why are there all these troops in D.C. and it's pretty much on lockdown, like a war zone, for what we are supposed to know as like a peaceful virtual inauguration? Something doesn't add up here. And, right now I'm very much questioning if this is going to be just a standard quote unquote inauguration for Joe Biden. Could I be wrong? Sure. I've been wrong before. However, this seems very fishy at this point, and it's one of those times where it's like, get your popcorn ready, because there could be some real fireworks.
Ooh. Heather, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that we need to turn the page. I don't mean that we need to, in any way, stop advocating for reform of our elections. Obviously, there were a lot of improprieties this time, and we need to remember and to convince others and persuade about all the tremendous accomplishments of this administration, and to keep advocating for conservative principles and speech and everything. I think that Joe Biden will be inaugurated tomorrow. I think that maybe that the best thing for us to do, as conservatives, is to accept that reality, which is not to say that I, for a second, buy into all the maligning of our president, who's still our president for the next, however many hours. I'm with you, Rob, in terms of, I think what McConnell did is lousy, and I think that all of this mindless parroting of the idea that the president incited a riot, I think is just not true. If you listen to his speech, he urged his supporters to go to the Capitol peacefully, not to break into the Capitol, not to attack anybody, not to be violent. If anything, he said the opposite. And I think any objective party reading the speech will see that. So I think they're going to have a real hard time convicting him of any kind of incitement. And I think it's concerning that's even being discussed, because we have a tremendous glaring double standard. All summer long we heard fight for justice from Democratic leaders and many media figures, while violence continued and continued. And at least when it came to this awful incident at the Capitol, the condemnation was quick. I heard President Trump telling his supporters, "Please go home." Nothing was said to encourage any such thing to continue. And I think we need to just keep clearly speaking about his accomplishments. And there's a new administration, coming in. I, for one, despite whatever feelings I may have, a lot of concern for our people in the inner cities who've been mostly, they've been subject to all kinds of increase in crime, and there are other concerns about speech issues and the Middle East and Israel, and all these things are very concerning to me. However, I don't want to do what they did 4 years ago. I don't want to, how can I put it? I don't want to use a swear word, but what they did, the hard left and many liberals, was to just basically crap all over conservatives' happiness. And I don't want to do that to them tomorrow. I think, let's be good sports. We know there were many concerns about this election for sure, but I don't think that the best road for us is to in any way, to disparage, tomorrow. Tomorrow is a day for the country to come together and to respect the tradition of the inauguration, and then we'll keep fighting the good fight. The war of ideas and policy and conservative principles that will be the best path for us forward.
No, Heather, you make a very good point, but I think the other thing that we have to remember is that I think what led us to where we are now is no one was listening.
Yeah.
For 4 years, no one was listening, and we were told to shut up, and what they're saying is right. And maybe at some point, some people believe that maybe there was some type of nefarious activity taking place, not with Trump, but with some of his advisors, only to find out that wasn't even true. The people who went to jail on things that had nothing to do with Russia collusion.
I know.
And then when you're told to be quiet, don't say anything, and then you see your world burning up around you.
Yeah.
And nothing is being done, and you're still told that you're the bad guy, and we're doing this because you are the bad guy. And it's like, but what have we done? I've opened up my heart. I'm saying, hey, you can do this, you can do that. But I'm being told that you are the bad guy, and you're the reason why we're here. And it's like, but wait a minute, look at what the president has done. Look at the economy. People are working. Even for Black people, unemployment is down low. He's put in criminal reform, criminal justice reform, Second Chance Act. But then people are still saying, no, but the white people. So when you're told this, and you're told to shut up and say nothing, it starts to boil up.
Yeah.
And you're angry. Now, I'm not saying, to become violent, because we got to think about this. For 4 years, Trump supporters have marched. They have said, make America great again. There have been little small incidents where people had little pushes and shoves and whatnot. But what happened on January 6th, and then to try to put a blanket on it and say that's all of Trump's supporters, which is what the media is doing, is wrong. And that is the reason why I feel that we have to speak out. Yes, Joe Biden will unfortunately be inaugurated on tomorrow. He will become the 46th president. This is what they wanted all along. Okay. In my opinion, it happened. They stole the election. Try not, because I know something nefarious happened. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. I know someone say, oh, it's just hearsay. Well, how can it be hearsay if you're saying that it's not true? Well, because people are saying it, but then there are facts. Even if it's something that's small, but it wasn't something that's small. You have states after states that are saying, hey, this didn't take place. And to me, and for me, The biggest problem is that the judges got involved. The judges weren't supposed to. It has to be the state legislatures. One of our guests said that, well, Trump's campaign, they should have had the lawyers. They should have looked at that. Okay, maybe so. But still, a law was violated. And if I had done that, I would be in jail. But if it were John Sullivan, of course, he can burn down the entire kingdom come. They would put him in jail and then let him out. There can't be two forms of the law.
Right.
Only has to be one.
Right. Right. Well, that's very important. It's very true. And it's important. I just had a conversation with someone close to me about this, who's more of a liberal. And, he said, well, he felt that it was a terribly dangerous mix for President Trump to have raised people's expectations about the possibility of Mike Pence taking the action that our president wanted him to take and sending things back to the states, and that it wasn't going to happen, and that people's raised expectations, and the rally was provocative and was, if not incitement by the legal definition, it was irresponsible. And I said, but by that standard, if you're going to say it was provocative, was it not provocative for 4 years to tell anyone who supported this president that racist? Was it not provocative to see people setting things on fire and demonizing all police all summer, right, and conducting violence in Antifa destroying whole areas of cities out west and blinding federal agents and setting fire to things and being told all summer long that we need to stand down and accept this? Was that not provocative? Not to say that anybody but the people who engaged in violence are responsible for that in terms of the law, but where does it end? I mean, and so and this person said to me, well, you're just doing whataboutism. That doesn't. And I said, well, no, because my point isn't that the Capitol riot was right. I'm not defending that for a second. I'm just saying that when we saw riots on the other side, we had politicians and media rationalizing it and romanticizing it. And I think that was by no means, it's not an explanation or a justification. Point is, as conservatives, we do not justify what happened at the Capitol. It was wrong, full stop. But to blame President Trump for it is to just engage in this kind of impressionistic thinking, but without really thinking about the whole picture. And it's a double standard, and you can't do that, because essentially what that is it's shutting down speech on one side. It's saying that whenever a conservative says anything and somebody takes it the wrong way, we have to legally prosecute that person, but that does not apply to the other side. So right. It's the beginning of a potential very uneven assault on speech in this country. And I agree with you 100% there. We can't let that go unanswered. We have to explain what's wrong with that. And the truth is, this president, he did not speak of violence. He did not, I think Rudy Giuliani used a little figurative language, which if you listen to his whole speech, I don't think he was calling for violence either. But President Trump didn't even use any pugnacious figurative language. I mean, he said you should fight hard for your country. I guess he did say that. But clearly, he did not mean literally. And I think we're on a real dangerous, slippery slope here when we have conservatives demonizing the president for figurative language in a country that upholds the First Amendment. It is very frightening to me as a journalist, and it's dumb, and it can't be. It's not acceptable. By the way, that would never actually hold water. I'm not a lawyer, but I did study media law some, and that, listen, if the Nazis can march in Skokie, Illinois, and what's that crazy outfit that goes to military funerals? The Westboro Baptist Church can scream at the funerals
Right.
of military and you know, and people can yell fight for justice all summer long while cities are burning. You're not going to convict the president of the United States for saying fight for your country. So they're just going to be engaged in a show trial, and it'll be another example of how nothing will satisfy these people.
And that's what we will see. Engage in a show trial, because there is nothing there. Like they said, once he's out of office, who are you going to impeach? Impeach is to get him out of office, but they don't care. As I said in my opening statement, and a lot of what we know today, the impeachment should be rendered null and void and vacated. I don't know if that could happen, but the next president, Republican president, should say, we're going to erase this. We're going to just get rid of it. BB, you wanted to say something? Did anyone else want to before we move on to the president's accomplishments? Because I could just go on and on and on.
Before we move on, I would like to say something.
Yes.
I think all of us are feeling a little bit of a melancholy underneath, because we have, all of us, every single one of us has worked really hard these last 4 years, trying to be a voice for what has happened. And at every step of the way, we've been denied the truth by the media, by people like McConnell is a great example.
Right.
And we're feeling a sense of emptiness right now. And it's a little melancholy for me. I'm willing to accept the inauguration tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But I do it knowing that our president has done an incredible job under incredibly difficult circumstances that probably no one in history could have withstood. And it's important that we look at how he made us feel. And all of us, I think, can attest to that we felt a tremendous sense of patriotism, you know, and pride in our country. And we love him. And the left will never in a million years understand that love, will they?
No. No, they won't, because they don't love themselves. And anything that says anything that about America's great, they poo-poo on it. They don't like it, because America is bad. And we have to be told that we're bad. And to me, and for me, that is unacceptable, because we are patriots. As your poem said, it is so difficult for people to wear that banner. And what the left wants to do is they want to demify all of us so that we will be afraid to wear hats that say, make America great again, keep America great again. They want all of that dismissed, eradicated, ripped out of history as if though it never existed. And that
the left has a problem. The left has a problem with the Judeo-Christian foundation of this country. Therefore, they have a problem with freedom and liberties granted under God. They have a problem with our Bill of Rights. So they have a problem. They have a problem with the foundation of this country. So that any group of people, any president that expresses support for traditional values, freedom of religion, to protect the unborn, they are against that president. They are against that group of people. Like Barack Obama said when he campaigned in 2008, too many of us cling to our guns and our religion. That encapsulates why the left hates our side.
Yes.
They're really anti-American. They're anti-constitutional. So we frame it in the world of politics, but it is really a spiritual battle that's going on here.
Amen.
And for anyone like Mitch McConnell to deny the fraud, it wasn't just Giuliani saying it was fraud. There were hundreds of affidavits. There was testimony. There was testimony in the swing states. Average, ordinary people risked their careers, their lives to say, "I saw fraud." They saw fraud. This is not something Giuliani and President Trump made up.
Well, let me throw this out there.
Yes, they want it, Sean.
Yeah, well, going back to what you were talking about with Mitch McConnell and others, we look at them, we look at what they say, Mitch McConnell, dismissing the president today, right? And on the one hand, we can sit there and say, man, this guy's a rhino, this guy's a traitor, this guy is, bad news, right? And that may be the case with McConnell or any of these other people. On the flip side, there's some actors out there, and some actors are basically there to say, hey, I'm going to make it look like I'm against Trump to kind of fit what this narrative or this plan is. Maybe their narrative is like to be against Trump when they're for Trump, or vice versa. Okay. Those guys are out there too. I'm not saying it's McConnell. I'm not saying it's any one of these people like Lindsey Graham. However, there's people out there where, they're going to say something like deliberately against the president, where maybe the President Trump has said, hey, do this because like it's going to make us, look the role, I mean, remember this is like a lot of acting going on here too,
Right.
The president has his own plan, whether that wins or not in the end, and we will not know until maybe a day or so. Okay. But they're out there.
I am sincerely waiting for it to reveal itself. That being said, we will tie in the president's accomplishments with this conversation because there's much to be said. And I mean, the passion again is in our voices because, I mean, just looking at it just does not look right at all. And for 4 years, we were told that Russia has something to do with this. And now we know that they didn't. But what did our president do? Through it all, in spite of all this stuff, this garbage that they were putting him through, all the lies, the accomplishments of this man, because he loved his country so. It's just unbelievable. And I have some of the accomplishments that are coming up right now. Can you guys see them? Okay?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, you just look at this. I mean, I always stick with the unemployment. Okay, in 3 Supreme Court justices, promises kept, getting rid of endless regulation so that the economy could grow. We were on a ball. And even then, they were still fighting against him and saying this didn't happen. And they want to pretend as if though it didn't happen. Operation Warp Speed. China came in and gave us this virus. And to me, it was a biological warfare. And what did he do? They were impeaching him in January around this time, while he was still trying to fight for America and say, we're going to ban the travels. Oh, that's racist. You can't do that. Of course, they loved playing identity politics. But this man continued on non-stop. And now we have not 1, but 2 vaccines. And you got the liberal governors, they can't even administer it and get it out to the people. Cuomo, he can't even get it to the people. But this president, he soldiered on despite everything that was thrown at him against his kids. Oh, they did this, Ivanka this. He kept going, building wall. Did you guys realize that between 2019 and 2020, that illegal border crossing was down by 53%, thanks to this president? And now, because Joe Biden said within the first 100 days, you better get on over here, they're coming to the walls. Wait a minute, folks, what about the virus? Have they been checked? Has anyone checked to make certain they didn't have the virus? But let them come on. This is disgraceful. A country without borders is not a country. Try that stuff with Mexico. They will throw you up under the jail. Try that stuff with Iran. You better not try it in Malaysia. Or don't even think about it in China. But the United States, you can take all of our jobs and we'll send our jobs to you. We don't care about our people. The VA, allowing VA soldiers to choose the doctors that they want to go to so that they don't have to wait. Remarkable. And the biggest accomplishment, exposing the deep state for the criminals and the crooks and the vipers and the snakes that they are.
May I just?
I rest my case.
May I note a few of his accomplishments?
Absolutely.
No wars started. First president in many decades, I would say.
Amen.
Several Middle East peace deals reached between Israel and several Arab / Muslim countries. Lowering the price of insulin, providing sustainable funding for historically Black colleges and universities.
And they don't even realize
U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, protecting the unborn babies. And I don't understand why Black people don't applaud that, because he's saving Black lives. So who's the real racists? The real racists are the Democrats, who don't care about Black babies being slaughtered. Rescuing human trafficking victims. You mentioning unemployment for Blacks at historic lows for Blacks, women, Hispanics before COVID. Opportunity zones for urban areas. The First Step Act, and increase in Black small businesses, all under President Donald J. Trump. Thank you.
And women, since the Democrats are always into identity politics, look at what the women did in his administration.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But no, he's a racist. Oh, he doesn't like women. He's a misogynist, blah, 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 blah. It's just, you're right. Judy just sent a message. Judy, you're spot on. You're spot on. Anyone else care to opine on his accomplishments?
I do. I loved what you said, Bibi. That was so beautiful. And I had some of the same. I wrote, not militaristic, no new foreign entanglements. Brought a lot of soldiers home from Afghanistan and Iraq. At the height of the Iraq policy, there were 125,000 U.S. troops under President Obama. Now there are 2,500. More than 50 American hostages freed from 22 countries.
Oh, yes. We can't forget about that.
Who spoke at the Republican National Convention. Very important to me, the Taylor Force Act, which stopped the U.S. tax dollars from going to reward the families of Palestinian homicide bombers who kill Israeli civilians and American civilians. Taylor Force was a young American soldier who was on vacation in Israel. He was a Christian. He was there to see the country, and he was stabbed by a Palestinian terrorist. I believe it was in Jerusalem. And money, as is often the case when a Palestinian terrorist murders a civilian, it was the policy of the PA to reward that murderer's family with money. And they were using tax money, American tax money, to do it. This went on for years and years and years, decades. And finally, it's no longer the case under President Trump. Yes, reverse the Iran deal, which is weakening Iran as this hegemon in the Middle East. And I dread what will happen next with this new administration. I'm going to hope for the best. But yes, the movement of the U.S. Embassy to Israel's eternal capital, Jerusalem, lowest minority unemployment in American history, I believe. And those were my main points. Very proud of him.
Anyone else care to jump in?
I mean, there are so many. I mean, it's just been incredible. Again, to carry him off of Heather's statement, as a Jew, I have been very proud of President Trump supporting Israel, the first president in a long time, and never got any credit for it. I chronicled it. I wrote a poem, Jerusalem. I wrote a poem about the wall. I tried my best to, in real time, write what was really going on, and it didn't always mean he was right. Like I wrote a poem. He's our president. We didn't want to Emily Post. We wanted a fighter, not a partying host. And you said it, Rob. Promises made, promises kept. He hasn't disappointed us at all in any way, and he's made us very proud. And I go back to, it kind of tears me up to think he was so supportive of veterans, so supportive of law enforcement, so supportive of our military men and women. What else do you really want? He has been up against it, and it's been shameful. But you know, he's not going anywhere. I don't know what his future plans are. He was very gracious in his words today. I thought, you know, maybe he's just trying to avoid impeachment. I don't know. But his words were very kind to Joe Biden, and no one was kind to him. And we will not forget that.
Right.
You know, what do we do from here, though, is really the question. We know the accomplishments are many, and we could go on and on. I mean, he's just, you know, the homeless and the COVID and, you know, bringing bringing Red Cross ships to both coasts. I mean, that is a major logistical problem. He put solutions in their hands and they just ignored it. If we could have gotten those seniors onto those boats, maybe it wouldn't have been as horrible in the nursing homes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
great.
Juanita Brock, you know, she had a lot to say, you know, about, you know, and I know Janice has been very, they just didn't care. They just didn't care, and they got what they wanted. And now we have to swallow our pride a little bit tomorrow. It's not going to be a happy day because they're going to be giving now tomorrow. They're passing the baton to him. To me,
let me ask it.
That is him. It's whoever is surrounding him is going to be running this country. And we're all a little worried about it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sean.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question. I mean, let me just throw this question out here. And I mean, I'm echoing some of the, you know, major accomplishments that Trump has made in his 4 years. And my question is like, why are we sitting here convinced that Trump doesn't have some Trump card that's going to be played tomorrow? Because we're all sitting here in doom and gloom saying, oh, this is a Biden inauguration. Why do we believe that Trump does not have this higher plan to stop what is supposed to happen tomorrow? Because I believe that Trump has that higher plan. Could I be wrong? Sure. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we'll ride that until tomorrow or the next day or this weekend. Let's throw the question out there. I mean, why do we not believe Trump has something up his sleeve?
Well, because, you know, he's not God. He's a great leader. He's a man, you know, much as he is a strong leader and an American original, he is not, he can't, I mean, the forces here were so massive, and I don't know that we want to get into the weeds about the election again and all of that. And, you know, I don't know that we'll ever know, you know, the whole truth. Maybe historians will do their best to try to.
We will have to report it. We will be the historians reporting on it, unfortunately, or fortunately.
You know, I mean, there are so many massive forces here at work, and I think that maybe that he can't single-handedly. I mean, I think he made a Herculean effort. Some people feel that he went too far in you know, not backing down, not for the sake of the country accepting something that, you know, we can go back and forth on whether it was, you know, massive fraud or whether we don't know. But we saw that, unfortunately, the incident at the Capitol was a bad day. And I think that, you know, it's fine to have hope in one's heart, you know, but I think we need to, I think there is such a thing as acceptance and the need for acceptance. Listen, there's a lot of disappointment in life, and this is a biggie. Yeah, I think we are going to see an inauguration tomorrow. And I think that, you know, maybe it, you know, if you believe in God, if you believe, you know, that God helps those who help themselves, I think that President Trump and all of us, and lots of patriots have done everything they could. And, you know, maybe the plan is not exactly as we imagined it would be. Maybe there's, you know, a set of reasons that, we don't understand. But I think the important thing is to continue to try hard and to, it's great to talk in forums like this and be reminded of why we supported him, not lose our center or our, grasp of the truth in the face of all this propaganda and spin. And that's, I think, that and learning the best we can do and communicating. The other two things I wanted to mention, by the way, guys, I forgot to say, fast track development of COVID vaccine, which of course the whole country and world will reap the benefit of. Great accomplishment of the Trump administration, and killed Qasem Soleimani, the worst terrorist who's running around. And my sources in Iraq tell me that, it's been a dramatic boon to peace-loving people in Iraq. There's much less terrorism, much less torture of innocent people. I mean, he got Al-Qaeda and ISIS on the run, and no major Islamist terrorist attacks in this country during Trump's presidency. So those are all great accomplishments as well.
Right. Andrew, I think you have some accomplishments that you wanted to share.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk more about what he did with the economy before China, I believe, who intentionally infected us with the Wu flu virus, really screwed things up to change the narrative. But U.S. unemployment rates had fallen to a new 50-year low. Black unemployment was at an all-time low. Black business ownership under Trump jumped 400% in his first year in office. Youth unemployment hit a 52-year low. Black support for Trump doubled due to the economy. A record number of people employed since they started taking the statistics. 63% of Americans were in the labor force. Worker pay rate hits the highest level since 2006. Black and Hispanic unemployment hits record low. Food stamp usage drops 500,000. Highest manufacturer optimism, over 94%. He just put America first every step of the way, just like he promised that he would. All the great trade deals he made, the USMCA, completely getting rid of NAFTA, which was a complete disaster from the Clinton administration. It was unreal that no one had done that before President Trump. And if you remember, right before the Wu flu hit, the big announcement was that he had just reached a new historic trade deal with China. And that was about to come out. But then, of course, they released the virus, I believe intentionally, and really screwed everything up.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the accomplishments that are on the screen right now. It's just phenomenal. And we'll not know about it because the media will not talk about it. And we citizen journalists have to put it out there. We have to keep going.
Yeah.
We have to talk about his successes. They have now silenced him. They don't want to say anything else because they're hoping people will forget. They want to make him a para so that people will say, oh, he's bad. And to me, that is dangerous. Because what about little kids that are going to school and their parents supported him? If they say, well, my parents supported the president, are they going to say, we got to deprogram this kid? He's a bad kid. What are we going to do? Oh, no. But when the fact speaks for itself, look at what we're showing you right now. Look at the things that he accomplished. Look at things that took place. I mean, this is phenomenal. And he did it within 4 years. What did Barack Obama do?
That's right.
He created ISIS. I mean, look at the accomplishments. This is phenomenal. I mean, to me, I don't think the president talked about it enough. But this is unbelievable. When you look at this, I mean, the embassy, and no, as Bibi said, no, we didn't go to war, no wars. And they were all saying, oh, we're going to go to war with North Korea. Oh, my God. It did not happen, folks. Well, I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but you look at this, all of the accomplishments got us out of that crazy Iran deal.
Yeah.
This is just phenomenal. And what did Barack Obama do for us?
Yeah, what Biden, I'm very concerned about that because that's huge. That's huge. And believe me, I mean, I'm with you guys. I'm just very, very trepidatious about what Biden and Harris are going to do. But things were moving in the right direction. Things, intractable problems that had been dragging on for 70 years, whether you're talking about the Middle East and ongoing war and terrorism, whether you're talking about stagnation and hopelessness in the inner cities of America, things that the same old tired, approaches had been failing for 60, 70 years, he actually came in and tried some new things that were working. And
the opioid.
It's heartbreaking about.
And not only that, we have to think about our First Lady, and the things that she too. I mean, she was never given the credit that she deserved. Sean, do you want to opine on some of your Trump's accomplishments? Your thoughts? Sean, are you with us now? Okay, I think he's getting his mic set up. But our First Lady, I mean, she was really dealt a really bad cards. He never wanted to acknowledge her. She was one of the most beautiful women in the world. Never wanted to acknowledge her. And it makes, why? Why wouldn't they? Why didn't she get any of the major spreads of all the glamour magazines? What was the reason?
Because she was married to Donald Trump.
And that's sad. Because she was married to Donald Trump. And that is the reason why. Ray, do you have a poem about the First Lady? I didn't see one. That's really sad. Ray, I'm sorry, Sean, are you there now?
One of the things.
Need to charge up a little bit.
Okay. Because she's Mrs. Trump. That is the reason why they chose to ignore her. Seriously.
And you're right. Heather mentioned about he accomplished things that haven't been accomplished in 70 years. One of the things that comes to mind is he's the first president who stepped into the demilitarized zone in North Korea. And he was able, due to that, to bring home American POWs who died in North Korea. Apparently, he brought them home. So many accomplishments. This man worked like the CEO of America. He worked for his paycheck, which he donated.
Oh, yeah.
Did not keep. He did not work like a government employee. He worked like a private company's CEO, and he put us first. And I thank God for that.
Working non-stop, just consistently, always working.
Yeah.
And then people say, oh, well, the rest of the world, they don't like him. Well, no, they admire him because they admire people with force and power who will do things, not someone who's going to go overseas bowing down and saying, oh, we're sorry about this, we're sorry about that. Oh, we want to join the Paris climate deal so we can drink tea. What has a Paris climate, whatever they call it, what has it done exactly?
Right.
Okay, now,
and I'll just say this. May I just say this? I remember studying this whole climate. I'm sorry, Sean, very quickly. Thing about 10 years ago, we always exempt China and India. They want to put the burden on the United States. This is a money laundering scheme, in my opinion, for third world countries. The wealthy of the third world countries in Africa will benefit, but the poorest in Africa and other third world countries and areas will not benefit. This is just a scam. That's all it is.
That's it. Just a scam. It's just a social club. A social club. Sean,
that's what it is.
There was a little an incident you may not recall, but there were some UCLA basketball players that went to play. And, if it hadn't been for, God knows what would have happened to these young men who were stars on the UCLA basketball team. He got them out of there. And they went into Louis Vuitton and stole some sunglasses. But, it was Trump that got them free. I mean, it may be like nothing, but to those kids and those families, it meant everything.
Absolutely.
And we forget this guy was the most transparent president probably ever. He left everything right on his shoulder. And he communicated so well. Think about, someone said he did 600 rallies. He communicated with people like nobody has done before. And it was amazing. And I went to a rally. I don't know if anybody on this panel has been to a rally. It was quite a scene. In fact, I took my mother. in South Florida, we went to a rally, and I wrote a nice poem about it too, if you ever want to hear it, or it's in my book.
Oh, absolutely.
Called Reflections of a Rally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important that when we talk about accomplishments, we talk about what he meant to us is an accomplishment.
Right.
75 million people that they want to censor, reprogram, send to me, it sounds like a gulag.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where we're heading is serious.
Yeah. Extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
And extremely dangerous, right? I mean, just the rhetoric alone is enough to shake you in your boots.
Yeah.
It does me. I mean, I wake up in the middle of the night saying, why me? I mean, I'm white, I'm a man, I'm a Jew, and I'm a conservative. That's 4 strikes.
Yeah, they hate you for that. They hate you. Sean, are you back with us now? Hey, Sean.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay,
how we
so
doing?
what are your thoughts about the accomplishments?
Well, I mean, we go back to the early days, 2016 anyway, and just the original statement, right? Drain the swamp, and what does the swamp entail? Well, it doesn't just include like the opposing Democratic Party, It doesn't just include like the usual suspects. It includes some of the what we call the deep state people, and exposing them. And while this draining of the swamp may not be 100% complete, be very hard to do that, right? The good news is that you've really done a good job with getting some of the significant draining done, where you're really exposing some people as being not good people, not on your side. Doesn't matter if they're called a quote unquote Republican, and you are really getting into the depths of this, and I think ultimately that, whatever happens from this day forward, you're getting a lot of accomplished as far as like getting people out who shouldn't be there, and then working to get people in that should be there, that are like non-political, non-corrupted, that, that's the goal that we're trying to make. It would be people like us wanting to be into political office at some point. Those are the people that you are looking for.
Right. And something else I want to mention here, just, kind of taking a little turn, because a newsflash just came up. The president saying that he's going to pardon his one of his advisors, Steve Bannon. Here's my position. He's decided to pardon his former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, as one of his final acts in office. Here's my position on the pardons. You can hate them or you can like them. It's one of the responsibilities or the rights that the Constitution gives the president. So have at it. I might not like the person that he's going to pardon or commute the person's sentence, but the Constitution gives him that power. So when the media goes on these rants, oh my God, how could he and how could this? It's like the Constitution gives him the right. Okay, next. So I'm sure the names that are going to come out tomorrow, a lot of people are going to be angry and they're going to say, you see that just shows you how corrupt he is. Whereas Barack Obama pardoned almost 4,000 people. Yeah. Trump is the only person whose numbers as far as pardoning is extremely low.
And Clinton pardoned a ton of people, a lot of really deep-pocketed people. And at a glance, it looked like some of the folks that Trump is saying he's going to pardon are not these billionaires. I mean, a lot of them are African Americans. I didn't study it, but I looked quickly before we came on, and I saw that some were, nonviolent drug offenders, people who have spent a lot of time in prison already and have shown that they have cleaned up their act. And I saw Snoop Dogg approach Trump about some stuff, even though he did some sketch about.
I saw that, right? And the audacity for him. I'm thinking, seriously, you're reaching out to the president.
Well, but Trump's going to do what he asked, apparently.
He is.
I read.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope that he pardons Lil Wayne, because Lil Wayne was a flat-out Trump supporter, and so if anyone deserves to be pardoned, it would be Lil Wayne, not Snoop Dogg.
It wasn't Snoop Dogg himself, Bibi. It was somebody Snoop Dogg was asking for pardon on their behalf.
Right.
I can Google it.
Right. I can't think of the person's name. Right, Google it. But something that you said, Heather, that I think is something that we need to talk about again. You know, this whole narrative that the president is a racist and he's pardoning black people. Now, how many black people did Barack Obama pardon? That just stands out.
I don't know the answer to that, but I know that this president has a lot of, black friends. That sounds, I know that's something that people think sounds like an old time kind of, racist thing, God forbid. But I happen to believe that, true friendship and real respect in an interpersonal way is one of the best ways that we have forward. And Trump, like I mentioned on an earlier podcast, and Herschel Walker have been very close friends for many, many years, apparently, not just like a recent thing.
He's one of the kids. I think he's the godfather of, I think it's the older son or both of the boys.
Yeah.
But still, that Trump is a racist. I mean, these are the things that make my blood boil. And I just saw a comment here that I think Andrew put in about accepting the call from Snoop Dogg. I would say, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. After what you have said, the things that you've done, and now you're coming to me, you wanting me to show mercy. Now, granted, the person, I can't remember who the person is. Gosh, what's the guy? Death Row.
It says Snoop Dogg on Trump granting clemency to his pal Harry O.
Yeah, he's a founder of Death Row. I can't think of the guy's name, but Snoop Dogg. Like I said, it's one of the things that the Constitution gives the president to do. You may like it, you may not like it, but the fact that Snoop Dogg is going to reach out to the president. Death Row, Michael Harrio. Okay. Are you serious, Snoop Dogg? Go back in your doghouse and bark. Okay. After the damage that you've done. This is unbelievable. To reach out to the president and to ask, and if the president were to do it, he would probably go back out and still say the president is a racist.
Exactly.
I mean, this is what I don't understand. The media loves identity politics and they love playing the race card. When the only thing this president has done, when he got Alice Johnson out of prison, and the way the media tried to downplay it, I'm like, are you serious? They tried to downplay it. And then they attack Kim Kardashian because they're saying, oh, well, she didn't have anything to do with it. What did you do, Whoopi Goldberg? What did you do, Sonny Hostin? Nothing, but you sat there on that seat making millions of dollars and lying about the president. That's all you did. What did you do, Don Lemonhead? What did you do?
Listen,
Joy Reid, what did you do?
So many people have built careers on bashing this president.
Oh, yeah.
So many so-called journalists, so many, B-level actors, so-called comedians, with Kathy Griffith with the decapitated head. She eventually got pushed it so far that it backfired. But so many people have just nothing but relentless. I don't want to single people out, but
look at Christy Swanson. They want to attack her because she's saying, why do you want to remove Trump from Home Alone? This is proof that they want to just eradicate everything that he's done. They don't want to talk about his accomplishments because to them, it wasn't an accomplishment. But for Black people, you should know unemployment. Black men with jobs, something else that Andrew had in his article about Black ownership.
Yes.
Businesses. That is huge. Barack Obama did not do that. Mm-hmm. And they will say, well, it started on Barack Obama. No, it did not. What started on Barack Obama was our economy cratering. He did not do it. The only thing Barack Obama said was, you Black boys need to pull up your pants. Now, I agreed with that. But what else did he do that was significant? He hasn't even gone back to Chicago to say, stop the violence. What about those Black lives? What have they done? It is embarrassing that these left liberals, white liberals, are poisoning the minds of Black people. They're the ones who need to be deprogrammed. It's unbelievable.
It's true.
I think a lot of them, they want to be told, they want a pat on the head for being the good white person, is what I really think a lot of it is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
they're actually the bad white person. And
is it's kind of maybe a little taboo for me to say this, but what I think it sometimes is their own narcissism, and they want Black people's approval. They want to be told that.
No, you're right. You are right. And these are the conversations we need to have, because what you're saying is true.
And that's more important to them, I think, to many of them. I don't want to malign everybody. I don't want to say nobody really cares, but I think in many cases that's more about what it's about than it is about actually, saying let's work together and improve these issues and get into the nitty gritty and see things start to change for the people who have been on, struggling on the bottom for too long. And it's virtue signaling. It's wanting to be the virtuous one,
yep.
Rather than, what is the reality? What are the facts? What could actually help people in different situations to help benefit themselves? And I feel that this president, I think, my take on him, just subjective take, but I think because he has a lot of, he has a lot of friends in minority communities. He's not I think he's probably less racist. I mean, I think he did, Joe Biden comes across to me like a paternalistic sort of old style person who's, talking down to people. And I think that, I mean, that's my take anyway. I'm looking at some of the accomplishments here. I see something that the White House released. The bottom 50% of American households saw a 40% increase in net worth. That's quite something. African-American home ownership increased from 41.7% to 46.4% during President Trump's tenure. Created more than 1.2 million manufacturing and construction jobs in the country. And lifted nearly 7 million people off of food stamps. Unemployment for women hit its lowest rate in nearly 70 years. Unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, Native Americans, veterans, individuals with disabilities, and those without a high school diploma all reached record lows.
It's just phenomenal. The list just goes on and on and on. And that is a reason why we have to keep talking about it. That is a reason why we have shows like this, so that we could highlight the truth, because the media is not going to do it. Sean, what do you say?
Yeah, and going off those points, I mean, there's been some great points made here. Like when we talk about Black Lives Matter, right? We look at that and we analyze that. It's like, hey, on the surface, if I say Black Lives Matter, that sounds like a very good point, right?
Yeah.
It's something that I would go for, and to be beneficial to everyone. The problem becomes it is so much more complicated than just saying Black Lives Matter. It becomes, what we have known as a very bad organization that has trademarked that phrase Black Lives Matter. And as we know now, which we've known going back to this summer or years before that, is that that's become what we know as a Marxist organization, a socialist, communist, whatever you want to call it. It's a bad organization. So if we say, oh, I'm against Black Lives Matter, well, then you're ostracized for being racist and being, oppressive, even though you're saying, hey, I'm not against a certain group, I'm against this organization. So we fall into a trap each time we talk about that, and this is a point where it's like, wow, we really can't find a way out of this, because if I say, oh, Black Lives Matter, well, that's great. If I say, oh, Black Lives don't matter, this is a problem. Well, this organization, the TM Black Lives Matter, we cannot support that. And, it is the bad of the bad.
Yeah. Andrew, you say?
Yeah, well said, Sean. I completely agree. And circling back to that point with the Black Lives Matter propaganda we see, we mentioned the other night with our podcast with Cynthia, Garrett, the white supremacy labeling that we see all the time. President Trump has just woken so many people up to the dangers of our media right now, how biased they are. Anybody that has any critical thinking skills at all could turn on CNN, MSNBC, and just see the biased and never saying anything good about the guy, and constantly bashing his family, the first lady. It just never stops for President Trump. And then you look at some of the things he had to go through during his presidency, like his own niece, Mary Trump, writing a hit job book on him. Just everything that he had to withstand was unbelievable. I heard that he's lost billions of dollars in his net worth since he originally ran for office.
Which is what the media wanted.
He sacrificed it all, and all he ever wanted to do was make America a better place. And I feel like he succeeded in that so far.
That's so true. That's all he ever wanted to do, was to make America great again, to put us back up on the top, because we had been beaten down so much. But guys, you have to realize that this was like decades in the making with the left, brainwashing kids back in the 80s, telling them you're not worth anything, telling why. I remember when I was in school, grew up in Arkansas, and I remember schools up north, like in New York, Rochester. Some of the schools were telling white kids that you're worthless, you're mean, your ancestors are mean, you're this, you're that. I'm thinking, wait a minute, this makes no sense. I mean, you look at every country's history, there are problems, there are issues, but you're trying to get beyond that. But to tell a kid that you're worthless and you're no good, and that just resonates and it stays in the kid's mind or psyche, it's like, who are we? You can't tear down one to build up another. That's the whole idea. I can't tear you down just to make myself look good. I mean, we're all brothers and sisters. We're all human beings. But when we start trying to like tear one apart and say you're racist, you need to be deprogrammed. I was looking at Katie Couric. I don't like her. And she's saying, maybe we should deprogram these people. And Eugene Robinson saying the same thing. And you have all these radicals. I mean, yes, it's a good thing that you have, people of color on TV. But when they're spewing all this hate and all this craziness, when your life doesn't matter and my life matters because of this and because of that, I'm thinking, you're insane. This makes no sense. Don't forget your history, because you're doomed to repeat it. And with Joe Biden at the top, Mr. Forgetful, Mr. Who can't put two sentences together, we're doomed. I mean, and tomorrow, I mean, I may or may not watch the inauguration. I don't see a need to watch it. I know what's going to happen. I mean, peaceful transfer of power, that's gone with everything that's happening. If you want a peaceful transfer of power, Mr. Joe Biden, stand up and be the man and say, all these impeachments, we're going to vacate them, because we know that they were ridiculous. They were based upon lies, nothing but lies. Mitch McConnell, they were based on lies. All of it, all lies. From day one, you guys wanted to get rid of this president. And I hope from the information that's being released that someone has the nerve to really report on it and break it down. We can do it, but we need someone who's at the top, like Catherine Hettridge, who's now at CBS. I hate that. She should go to Newsmax. Now I'm trying to get her a job at Newsmax, because we need someone to break this down and to point out that the person who's about to go into the White House, we question it. We question him. We question Kamala Harris, who supported these bad groups this summer. And then you're going to impeach the president for making a phone call? You want to impeach him because you say he incited a riot? Come on, we're so much better than that. We have to get beyond that. But if you don't make it stop now, it will continue to go on and on. That is the reason why the voices have to be heard. That is the reason why we have these shows, so that people can come out and let their frustration and say, hey, I don't like this.
Yeah, because it won't stop at just Trump. It's starting to rub off on Ted Cruz, and it's starting to rub off on Josh Hawley.
Yes.
These people were like becoming rock stars. Yeah. I mean, Ted Cruz is, I've had my ups and downs over the years with Ted Cruz, but he always supported Trump the last few years, and now he's under the gun. So it doesn't stop. It's all about retribution, and it's not about unity. And this is what gets under our skin.
And you know what, Ray? What Trump could have done.
Oh, with support? Oh my!
When he went into office, he could have said, Clinton. Could have done it. Did he know? He went on to said, people, I don't want to hurt them. That shows you the kind of man he is. He's not vindictive. He's
so
not vindictive.
magnanimous.
Yes. And everyone
was
thought
incredible.
that, you know, right. They were saying, he's going to go after her. He's going to go after her. He's going to go after her. And he said, no, these are nice. And he could have. And look at what they're doing to him. As soon as he becomes private citizen Trump, you have Letitia James in New York. She's going to go after him. She's, to me, is very incompetent because she should be looking after the citizens of New York. You have all these attorney generals that are going to go after him. It will never stop because they want to wreck him. They want to render him penniless. And then you want to talk about unifying the country while destroying a president and all of his great accomplishments?
It's not unity.
Well, you guys make good points. I mean, they need to knock it off. They really do, because they are just showing that they don't care about unity.
And they don't.
Any person who's anywhere in the middle, not that there are that many left, but you know, they do see that as well. I mean, even people I know, like the person I mentioned earlier who felt that our president was irresponsible to hold the rally and raise people's hopes that Mike Pence was going to do something when Mike Pence couldn't do anything. And even he acknowledged, he said, you know, these Democrats are really vindictive, though. They need to stop. They just need to stop. So, I mean, I think people in the middle do see that. I think they do see that this is a vendetta. It's a waste of tax money and time. And I have hope that enough people will see that look, the Democrats need to knock it off. And if they don't, I think they'll lose in a couple of years.
Well, we want them to lose, regardless if they knock it off or not. We want them to lose. We want true patriots to come in. But this has just gone too far. And like you said, it's a vendetta. They don't care. They want to destroy him. Nancy Pelosi doesn't care. Chuck Schumer doesn't care. Adam Schiff doesn't care. And then this Eric Swalwell. Why is he an impeachment, Matt? This shows you that they don't care about this country. He should have long since been sidelined. And Republicans are quiet as it's kept, not saying anything about it. If I were on the Hill, I wouldn't talk to the guy. Seriously. Because I would be too afraid that he might leak something. They're making him an impeachment manager? Are you serious? This shows you that they don't care about the country.
Yes.
Nancy Pelosi does not care. She's old. Maybe she's forgetful. She should retire. She and Dianne Feinstein, who just filed the papers to run again, and she'll be in her 90s. It's like, lady, give it up. Give it up. But they don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about the country. It's all about them and making a name for themselves. And then they'll say, oh, and Nancy, oh, I pray for this president. Are you praying sincerely? Are you praying for yourself? Okay. I mean, I just can't believe what these people are doing. And again, this all ties into his accomplishments that they want to get rid of. And you know why? Because if they don't, Barack Obama becomes a footnote in history. Because he can't list all the accomplishments that he's did. Peace. He gave us ISIS. People were being attacked on our soil. And now they want to say, oh, those white people that went up to the Capitol, oh, they're domestic terrorists. They keep saying it over and over again because that's what they want people to think. And I look at social media and people are saying, oh, yeah, those domestic terrorists. I'm like, are you serious?
They want to extend it to us.
It's horrible. It is horrible. It is horrible. Anyone else? Any other thoughts before we have Ray to read his closing poem?
Well, I think we need to just keep pointing out the double standard, the unevenness that, you know, you gave me an idea when you said Kamala Harris was supporting these groups this summer that were committing violence. You know, I mean, we should go back and look at the record. Who was it who said, you know, these are fiery but peaceful protests? Who said, let them vent? Who said we need to fight for justice? If we're going to talk incitement, you know, then we should make the case. You know, we should have conservative lawmakers make the case about all these people. And, you know, we can't just, I mean, the truth is we cannot be silenced and we won't be. And, you know,
that's it. I mean, we can't have the media. We need conservative media.
Yes.
They're trying to squash that.
That's
if we want to keep, you're right. If we want to keep it out there, we need a free press. This whole thing with Section 230, this is where we have to go, like really hard.
Yeah.
You know, if it means sitting on the steps of the Congress, we got to get them to stop this censorship, which is really fascism.
Yes, it is. It is. You know, there's an editorial today in the Washington Post calling for purging Fox News.
Yeah,
and,
there you go.
I mean, as I wrote today, a free press is not a monolithic press. I mean, I can't believe I'm even having to say it, but we can't. Yes, and this is why this lie that the president incited violence is so important to counter. And you know, maybe we don't necessarily. I mean, listen, maybe some people don't think he did the right thing or he didn't handle it right. Whatever, that's different. You know, from legally convicting someone of incitement, that is it's not what happened. It's not what happened.
Not at all.
You know, we in this and other ways, we have to just rationally and strenuously push back on the propaganda and the silencing of our voices. And that's, you know, why forums like this are very important and will be going forward.
Yep. No, I agree. And like I said, they want to keep saying it over and over again to make it seem as though it's right, which is wrong. They want to say all these bad things took place because of the president, because they want you to forget all the good that he did. And that's the fear. You have people on The View. I don't even watch The View. I just hear about it. I haven't watched CNN since the election. I haven't watched MSNBC, but I see the retapes on YouTube and on other conservative stations. And you have these people that are saying these things over and over again, and it's dangerous. When you start saying you want to deprogram people, now what if we were to say we want to deprogram all of the gay people, all the transvestites? They would have a conniption. But it's okay to say you want to deprogram. We're going to deprogram white males, and the white males that are in the National Guards, they're probably loyalists to Trump, so we want to get rid of them. And this whole hoopla, I got to say this also, then we're going to end. This whole thing with all these soldiers that are on the Hill, it's a bunch of baloney, because they have come out and said there is no credible threats, but we're just in case. So they're making people think that it's because of Trump that we have to do this. No, it is not because of Trump. It is because of Muriel Browser failed to protect the Capitol. It's plain and simple. And when they're talking about we need to have another 9/11 commission, okay, you'll get that. And when it turns out that it is you guys who are in the wrong, are you going to try to hide it? So all these troops that are there, more troops than in Iraq, some of these guys could be out there trying to disseminate the vaccine, but they're on the Hill. As if though Joe is so important and they're going to come and they're going to tear things down. And did you guys know that Joe has gone out on the taxpayer dime and got his own private security? Did you guys know about that? That's costing us millions of dollars? Yes. On the taxpayer dime, he's gone out and got his own private security.
Well,
this is bull. This is bull. There are no credible threats.
I mean this in only this, you know, the spirit of a little mirth. I don't think anybody's interested in risking death for Joe Biden. So I don't think they need to worry that much.
Right. And it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
crazy.
I think like one last thought about this, right?
Yes.
It's just like, you know, we've kind of gone over these different scenarios, and ultimately it's about us keeping the trust in our own faith, in our own passions, and our beliefs in the higher powers, whatever they may be. And, you know, to trust in those that you have, to trust in the people that, you know, that you believe in, trust the plan, and, you know, to keep that faith. Pray tonight before you go to bed. Wake up tomorrow, you might have some really good news.
Rob, I think you're muted.
I'm going to pray with you, brother. I'm going to pray hard.
Thank you. We'll all pray together.
You know, and as I said, you know, I'm going to accept what God allows, and I'm going to move forward. Ray, do you have that last poem for us?
I do. And first of all, I want to thank everybody, you know, on the panel, and I want to thank you for letting me put a little bookend on this incredible discussion tonight. I wrote this poem called He's Our President out of love for him and his love for us. It's not for his glory, nor for fortune and fame, Only the jealous would sing that refrain. It's not for his ego, he's got plenty of that. He's willing to do battle, take them down to the mat. He didn't lay fallow behind country club walls. He followed his instincts and answered our call. It's going to take muscle with elbows of grease to wrestle with enemies intent on disturbing our peace. You may disagree with his manners. He's not Emily Post. We needed a fighter, not a partying host. There are demons among us pledged to tear him apart. They've been secretly plotting right from the start. We have to support him, do all that it takes, help fend off his detractors while our country remakes. Patriots love him, especially his pace. He's our gift from the heavens, shielded by all of God's grace.
Beautiful. And we have Ray's contact information on the screen from Amazon if you would like to order his book.
Fantastic, Ray.
And
Thank
it is
you.
a beautiful book of poetry chronologizing the president's term in office. So definitely go out, get your copy on Amazon, and there's information right now on your screen. Are there any other thoughts from anyone else?
No, just it's been a fantastic past 4 years with President Trump. I feel like we are all blessed for him to have decided that to run for office. He completely shook up Washington, D.C. and the landslide of politics. A lot of people are awake now and questioning what the government does that maybe did not before, and I do not see that as a bad thing. And just a plug one more time for one of the great outlets that are letting us stream on them live tonight. Go to pilled.net. It's a great app, free speech app. You can sign up for an account on there. You can post like messages with pictures and almost like tweets and whatnot. And you can comment, and they also have lots of live streams. So sign up and check out pilled.net if you can. Thank you.
Yep, definitely pill.net. They have one of our partners that allow us to stream on their platform. I'm going to put their information up here right now. There it is right there. So definitely check them out, as Andrew said. And want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. We'll be on again live on Thursday. Looking forward to you guys spending some time with us. And again, please share the feed. Get the word out there that we are back. We're not on Twitter, but we are live, and we appreciate all those who support us and follow us. Definitely appreciate it.
And we should give a little shout out to Zuckerberg and Facebook. I understand we're still on Facebook, yeah?
Yes, we are still there, and hopefully they will let us remain there for now. Facebook as well as YouTube, we're there as well. So
well, let's give one more quote before I sign off here. Right? Is that it's not over. It's not over until Stacey Abrams sings.
I like that.
Right?
Oh my God, I heard you can sing, so be careful.
Give a shout out to figurative language and speech and ability to express ourselves, and for intelligence and people's intelligence to understand that's important, and it's the foundation of our way of life. And thanks to Rob for making this possible.
Well, thank you, Mega Media, Andrew, Small Town Andrew. So really appreciate that platform.
Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you guys. Good night. God bless.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.